And I give Billy Guerin a lot of credit, and Craig Leopold. Bill Guerin and Craig Leopold met individually with almost every single player before the season, took them to lunch, said, gave them a voice, wanted to know what's been wrong with the team, really impressed upon them how important it was from a guy that's won many cups, how important it was for this team to be close, to not be individuals, to worry about the guy next to him. And then he did it again during a speech that was on Wild.com during training camp. This was Bruce Boudreau's idea, but they bring him to Vail. Bruce brings in somebody that he had seen at his son's graduation from graduate school, his teenage son, by the way, which just shows you how brilliant Brady is. He sees this guy. He's inspired by this guy. They bring him to Vail. He pumps the team up. Obviously, they got off to a tough start. They bring him to New York again, where he's based about 3 weeks ago, and he talks to him again. And it just seems like I'm in this locker room every day, and it just seems like this is the closest that I've seen this team in a long, long time. And this isn't just because they're winning. This has been for all season long. And so I think yesterday was a good. I like that the Wild are doing this. I mean, this is stuff that none of us would ever get to see, what goes on in the locker room after a win. And they do this after every single game. Dusty and Brandon, they're two videographers. They put this together. And last night was a great indication that fans never get to see of an intimate moment in the locker room with everybody around the locker room, the hero of the game helmet being given to Foligno, and Foligno standing up and being the leader that he is. And giving it to Dubnyk. It really was a touching moment, and I think it says everything about what's going on with this team right now.
I have a follow-up on the Dubnyk situation. I want to get more into that and answer some Twitter questions. I want to thank Grey Duck Vodka, our newest sponsor. Grey Duck, Gray, duckspirits.com, grayduckspirits.com if you want to check out what they have to offer. Homegrown vodka made from the fields of the Midwest. And as someone who covered Chad Greenway for a long time and really enjoyed covering him and getting to talk to him on a personal level, it's a blast to be working with him again.
When we asked you to get the duck out, wow, did you respond? Grey Duck Vodka is now in over 1,500 locations and expanding every day. This is Chad Greenway, and I just want to say thank you for making Grey Duck Minnesota's vodka. With the wonderful ingredients from Minnesota farmers, Grey Duck is gluten-free and has won 3 gold medals for taste. For all upcoming events and a list of locations carrying Grey Duck, head to grayduckspirits.com.
Please drink responsibly. Grey Duck Spirits, LLC, Lakeville, Minnesota.
Get the duck out.
One more note on the Dubnyk thing. As you're talking about it, it brought me back to my son when he was very young, had a viral infection in his neck. It was called a thyroglosal duct cyst. Mm-hmm. And we rushed him to the hospital. His neck swelled up. And
wow.
What really the hardest thing about it was the doctor, they did a bunch of tests, and then they were like, it shrugged, and they were like, oh, it's viral. What does that mean? Well, it means we have to wait for the infection to go down before you do anything about it. Okay, but you don't know how to fix the virus? No, we don't know how to. It's like not knowing and not being able to take action that could lead to a good result. I mean, it was the most maddening thing and heartbreaking thing because you felt like you were just completely helpless. I'm sure Devan is feeling that way now.
Yeah, and I'm sure his wife, who's the one that's dealing with this. Obviously we're the one, I'm covering Devan, so that's kind of the one where it's sort of become the story, which is always a little uncomfortable because it's his wife dealing with this medical issue. The good news is, again, without giving away too much, because I really want to respect their privacy, but Devan said this in the story, is that they really feel like they have a good plan, that they've diagnosed what the issue is, and that there's a treatment for it, even though that for the rest of her life she's probably going to have to be on some sort of medication treatment for it, but that they've figured out what it is and how they can maybe fix it. And, there's still a road to be taken here. But I'm sure, I know it's sometimes trite and cliche, but it's good to see him back at the rink. The rink really is, in all sports, the solace for these guys. It's kind of like, any of us, when we have issues going on in our own lives and problems and fears and worries, that sometimes delving into work is a good way to get your mind off of it. And you've just seen this last week, Devan being back with the boys, quote unquote, has made him smile and laugh and take his mind off the stresses of what's going on back home when he's not with them at the rink and is probably in his hotel room and things like that. So, I just think it's good to get him back for the game. And the other thing, I impress upon Wild fans that he's been off for 5-6 weeks I just could not believe the vitriol on Twitter last night when he had the puck handling mishap that led to the first goal. You know, still it's up to Dumba to get rid of that puck off his stick and not turn it over. I get that he put Dumba in no man's land, but this guy's been away from 6 weeks. He's not dealing with real game situations like this. Like, give him a little break here. I mean, somebody was tweeting me last night when he was giving up goals in the third period. Looks like we have a goalie controversy. Like, let's chillax for a while. He's their number one goalie. He still, I'm sorry, needs to be in the NHL over Kaapo Kähkönen. Kähkönen is a young 20-something guy that needs to be in Iowa playing games. His job is not to be thrust into the NHL and give an average 4.5 goals a game every night, the way that he did the last 2 games. His job is to be down there. Devan Dubnyk is the number one goalie on this team. Alex Stalock is going to push him, and if Devan continues to struggle, maybe Alex is going to get a lot more games because Alex has really done a great job this year. But these are the 2 goalies on the Minnesota Wild, and fans need to just give him a break a little bit and understand that regardless of what he's going through off the ice, if this was an injury, you can't expect him to be completely sharp last night. It was, that is one reason why Bruce Boudreau was so upset with the team after the first period when they gave up 17 shots and asked Dubnyk to make some unbelievable saves, which he absolutely did to keep that deficit at 1-0, is that he really worried that Devan would tire in last night's game. And in the third period, maybe that is what happened. So, and regardless, he made a couple brilliant saves in the third to help them win that game. So, I'm not here to protect Devan Dubnyk and be an apologist, but my God, I just could not believe the way that fans were reacting. And by the way, these are the same fans that gave Josh Harding a Bronx cheer in his debut after Backstrom was pulled against Edmond several years ago. So after what he was dealing with. So let's all chillax and realize that these people are human beings.
That's the best Russo rant we've had in a while. That was good.
Yeah.
I agree completely.
I haven't even gotten to something that's going to tick me off yet.
Well, let's try.
The Josh Harding thing was probably inappropriate, but that was still one of the lowest points in Wild history. Josh Harding in his first game after being out with MS, I get fans are upset. They had to win the final game of the 12-13 season, beat Edmonton to make the playoffs, and it forced them into a, quote, Game 82 win that they had to win in Colorado the next night to make the playoffs. But Nicholas Backstrom's pulled in the first period. Josh Harding comes in and gives up a goal, and then the next one that he stops, they mock cheer. Are you kidding? It's one of the lowest moments in Wild history.
I will not argue with you. I will transition to thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. Great place to buy watches, buy gifts, get those gifts fixed, fixologyrepair.com.
Hi, this is John with Fixology Repair. For the better part of a decade, we've been privileged to serve you for all of your jewelry, watch, and smartphone repair needs at the Mall of America. Since Minnesotans largely hate going to the mall, we expanded 2 years ago to reach you in the Minneapolis Skyway. And now this year, we're pleased to announce we have a new location at Wells Fargo Place in the St. Paul Skyway. All 3 shops are equipped to help with your watch and cell phone repair needs on site, while all jewelry, computer, and game consoles will be completed at the Mall of America store. Please bring us your repair challenges, and don't forget to mention the Talk North podcast for a 10% discount on all of our services.
All right. We don't always get to a ton of Twitter questions when we do our live show, so let's hit some now. From Davis Bailey, has the Wild's improved recent form, the seeming development of the younger players, and Boudreau's willingness to play them more improved the chances of him being re-signed, or does it strictly depend on him making the playoffs?
It's such speculation, but I it's like I just tweeted about how, or I tweeted last night how he moved into 22nd in NHL history in regular season victories. And he's got the 3rd highest points percentage in NHL history for coaches that have coached more than 540 games. Now, it's a little skewed, obviously, with Cooper and Boudreau because of the overtime loss, shootout loser point that Scotty Bowman didn't have the benefit of, who's number 1 in that list, obviously. But still, I mean, the job that he's done this year to keep this team afloat, you got to give him credit. And so, look, just like Billy Guerin can't determine his path for this franchise based on this 1 month blip, just like he couldn't with the first month blip, we got to let this play out for the rest of the year. So there's a lot of hockey still left to go. A lot of times we always want to react to what's going on exactly right now. It's a good thing Billy Guerin didn't do that in the first month of the season, or we could see no Eriksson Ek or Fiala or Donato on this team right now, frankly. Maybe even Brodin. I mean, he had some tempting potential trades that he could have made. that he resisted in the first month. And I bet Wild fans are very happy they didn't do those right now. And so, same thing here. Anything can change. I talked to Tom Curvis about this yesterday on another podcast that I do. That basically, the one biggest task by management right now, Tom Curvis, Billy Guerin, Chris O'Hearn, Matt Sells, his whole staff, is to determine what is the real Wild, and it's going to be even harder right now because of the injuries. Because you just don't know if the first month was the real Wild, if this last month was the real Wild, or just a big tease. Then how do you ascertain everything? Because they're devastated by injuries right now. It's a big thing, and so we got to let this play out. And that goes with Boudreau as well. I mean, I think he's done a masterful job. Obviously, selfishly, I think all Wild fans know I don't want to lose him. But it's probably way too early to say, and I still think this team at a minimum would have to make the playoffs to bring him back. But we'll see.
Interesting. From Patrick John, perhaps too early. This is your favorite kind of question, Michael. Perhaps too early, but what are the expansion draft implications with Soucy's emergence?
Big. I mean, it absolutely is. It's an issue. I mean, if the roster is what it is right now, you have Suter with a no move, and you have Jared Spurgeon with a no move, and you can only protect 3 defensemen. So that leaves, again, based on the roster that you have now, that leaves your other 3 big defensemen being Soucy, Brodin, and Dumba that you're going to have to pick from. Now, most likely in the next 2 years, whether it's Brodin or Dumba or somebody else, I mean, there's potential that one of them's not here. But right now, it's obviously an issue.
It's easy to endorse Tony Hoagland because he handles my insurance and he handles Michael Russo's insurance. Hoaglund, Tony Hoagland. Google Tony Hoagland State Farm. It'll pop up, and we can highly recommend Tony as a guy and as an insurance agent.
Hi, Talk North listeners. I wanted to let you all know about State Farm's new program called Quotes for Good. We partner with local nonprofits to raise money for great causes. For the Russo-Souhan show, I'll be donating $16 to the Jason and Carly Zucker Give 16 campaign that benefits the University of Minnesota Masonic Children's Hospital. When you call in, be sure to mention the show so that we can track the donations. You can reach us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at champlininsurance.com.
From Brian Foster, Wild are much better at scoring on odd man rushes this year. What are your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, they are. At the beginning of the year, though, they weren't. Giles Farrell, who does a bunch of GIFs on Twitter that I always joke works for The Athletic because we just kind of snag his stuff and throw it in my gamers just to give people video evidence of what I'm writing about. He always does a string of things that's actually kind of funny. He strings together all the Wild's missed odd man rushes. I think he started this last year, a couple of years ago, and he was doing it to start this year, and suddenly he's not doing it anymore because they've been great off the rush. And so, it all comes down to skating. It comes down to shooting too. I mean, if we saw the last odd man rushes that the Wild keep on scoring on, it's because the guy leading the rush is the one scoring, shooting the puck. And so, last night, Ryan Suter did a great job to hustle, create a 2-on-1 on the one Donato goal. It probably got Kemper thinking that Donato was going to pass the puck, even though if you look at the replay, that Kemper actually didn't cheat left. But I'm sure in his mind he's thinking, I got to get over there if he's going to pass it. And Donato whipped it home. And if you looked at Donato's the shooter. Like I would, if he passed to Ryan Suter and the Wild didn't score on that, I think fans would have gone nuts. And there was a game, it was in Chicago the other night, where Donato did get an odd man rush down the right side and tried to pass, and it was broken up. And then obviously all heck broke loose in that game. So I think it was a Chicago game. So, I just think it's great that they're shooting the puck, and that's what Bruce Boudreau has been impressing upon them for a long, long time. They practice odd man rushes every single practice for as long as I've covered this team.
Given that you're in Phoenix, I kind of blew it on the most important question of the day. Did you get an immense suite with your private pool?
No, I got a really nice hotel room, but not a big suite. Very disappointing.
Oh, it's really important, Michael, to have a second bedroom that you don't use and have a pool that you don't use.
It's so true. I remember last year I just booked a trip yesterday for the Edmonton-Vancouver, the father-son trip at the end of February that the Wild are going on, or right before the trade deadline, in fact. And I booked this one hotel called the Douglas. It's unbelievable. It's right by the rink there. It's attached to the JW Marriott. It's a Marriott property. And last year, I'm not kidding you, they gave me a suite that was probably 3,000 square feet, and the only thing I was in the office and the bedroom. But I want that suite back. I even already wrote